All right, let's see where we are. So this week is Thanksgiving, but that doesn't affect our schedule. Uh, so for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about several technologies that make up the mean stack. We talked about Angular, then Node. We talked also about Express when we talked about Node as well for creating web services. So today we're going to talk about Mongo, which is the fourth of the technologies that make up the mean stack. Next, I guess we'll have a chance to also talk about React Native next week. So there will be just one more assignment that will go out later today on Mongo. But there won't be a React Native assignment, right? So that you can focus React Native that with 3 weeks solid on just working on the project. Okay. Let's see. So for the project, I don't know if I mentioned. What we'll do is you'll be hosting this somewhere in Heroku or AWS, and there'll be a form that you need to fill out where you are going to explain what the use cases that you're using for validating that you met the requirements. You're going to provide a link to your repository, and as part of your repository in your Wikipedia, in your wiki, you're going to provide detailed instructions on how you want us to test your project, and how to test each one of the requirements. So if one of the requirements is to implement a user-to-user relationship, then you would describe step by step how do you want us to test that requirement, that you've achieved that requirement. Or if another requirement is that there's a user to domain object relationship, again you would tell us, log in as Alice, from the profile page click on movies I like, verify that so and so movies are there, and that's it. So whatever steps, and you'll try to be as specific as you can for us to validate that you've implemented the requirements. So presumably you're going to be using several users that we're going to ask you to use, same username and password, Alice, Bob, Charlie, and so on and so forth, which you're going to be using to generate data in your projects, right? So that we can then log in as those users and then validate that your project works. We're not going to, the TAs and myself are not going to deliberately try to break your application. So we'll follow your instructions verbatim. We'll do some smoke tests here and there just to see that it just doesn't fall apart. But for the most part, we're going to follow your instructions. Okay. What else? Yeah. So that form will go out later this week, but you won't have to submit it until the due date of the project. All right. Any questions on the agenda? Yes. You'll have anytime before the final. Yeah. No, you have to know Mongo. Anytime before the end of the semester would be fine. So you have plenty of time. Okay. Yes. I'm sorry? It'll be included in this one. Yeah, it'll be a combined. Yeah. Yeah, which will combine Mongo and Node. Yes. When is the end of the semester? Well, the last day that we actually see each other is December 3rd. The semester, I believe, ends December 8th. I think that's the last day of classes. I'm sorry?
We have 1 more week, only 1 week to do the final project. It takes 40% of the.
Well, no, you should have been working on it all along, right? So.
We have to work on it for the final project. I mean, we have other courses and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I am a PhD student.
Yeah.
Paper deadline in December. It's
Uh-huh.
crazy.
Yeah, no, you should be working on it right now. Yeah, a lot of folks have come over and asked me on projects I've been working. So the TA says that some of you have not been adding them as collaborators or sharing with them. So some have been able to grade some of those assignments. If you could please add them as collaborators. They can't see your GitHub repositories. So if you can add them to, and also myself as collaborators, we could see this. So those that have been using just plain old GitHub, we've been able to see all the code. But those that are using the school's GitHub, those are more strict, and we can't see your code unless you add us as collaborators. Okay. So if you could. All right. All right. Yes. No. So we typically ask you to provide maybe a 5-minute YouTube video of you using your own application, and you describing what you're doing, typically demonstrating that it actually works. Yeah, right. And you'll provide a link to it from your repository. Yes. Of you using it, your application, you turn on your and record yourself chatting what you're doing. Yeah. Yes.
Last question, right? So on the 25th, we have a part 2 of our project.
Yes.
And then on the 10th is like the actual implementation.
Yes.
So the part 2 is like is building towards the part 3, right?
Yes. So part 2 will be a large part of your application of being able to interact with a third-party API and do queries and render data and retrieve data. Yeah.
Right, so would it be possible if we just write it straight away do part 3 and part 2?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you could.
I don't have to submit anything for part 2.
You mean the actual end final project, or?
No, that's part 3.
Uh-huh.
Part 2 is like some point in the middle.
Right.
So there might be a case where I've like done some parts of part 2, but
Yep.
not everything. But the solution.
Yeah. So the real point of these part 1, 2, 3, whatever, is so you don't leave everything to the end. If for any one part you show substantial progress, you're guaranteed the full marks, right? So the intent is for. I used to not have any of these parts, and people used to leave it for the last week. So I was suggesting that you would use these as milestones, and they didn't have any. I didn't have any grades associated to them, so people would still ignore them. So now they have at least a couple points to it, so that you have some incentive to do some work towards the project. But the intention is that you are already working towards that. Right, that's the intention, and you're guaranteed to have full credit if you showed having done something. Yes.
Do they have bonus credits for this class? I mean, usually professors have bonus.
I used to do that, and it was just so hectic grading all the bonuses. This semester, I stopped doing that. It's just so hectic. People doing this, that, or the other. It's just I'm not doing that this semester.
Is there any rubric for P2
For P2, the prototype. What it says there, be able to do types of query, right? Query a list, and then query the individual instance, and do some rendering of those two, either as a list or as a details page. Yeah.
Because you mentioned last time we have to copy the link, and the link should show the exactly same.
So that's not for the prototype. That's not for the prototype. Yeah, that's fairly advanced. Yeah.